Hello. You are listening to a podcast. You might be on a plane, or a train, or a bus. What has gone wrong? Are you okay? How many podcasts have you listened to already today? This week? This month? Are you all right with that number? Is everything all right? Hello? Can you hear me? Anyone else out there?
Hello.
Hello.
I can't do it.
All right, let's start the show. So how was your week?
It's been a week, man. It has been anything but boring. I can tell you that. So that's
In a good way or a bad way?
well.
Like exciting like you got carjacked, or exciting like you beat a cool level in Zelda?
Well, dude, I haven't even played Zelda in like a week and a half.
Not to downplay carjacking, it would be an awful situation if that were to occur to you.
Well, I did show you the photo of my neighbor. Yeah, I think we talked about it maybe last week. My neighbor's car.
Yeah,
that was
his
on
wheels
bricks.
got taken or something.
Yeah, so I don't want to joke too much about that.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to your neighbor.
But you can hear me coughing still. I'm not much better than last week. Like,
whoa, that was fake.
like
fake,
I keep getting
fake news.
okay. So I'm
Nice
getting
edited cough.
I'm getting these coughs where they're dry, and the only reason I'm coughing is because it feels like last one that I'll leave in the show anyway. I'm only coughing because I feel like the air is being sucked out of my lungs. And I'm just coughing nonstop so hard I think I'm gonna puke. And I've been sleeping on the couch lately to not keep my girlfriend up. Yeah, just, that kind of
Sure. I think if you type those symptoms as you phrase them into WebMD, you'd already be dead.
Oh my god, can we WebMD my symptoms?
I think that'd be a fun task, yeah.
We'll do that later, because we're going to get into our main topic, which will have...
And is the WebMD joke played out? I don't want to... Well, maybe we'll see how we feel. All right. But coughing as if I'm puking sounds like a good combo.
It's just,
and that's definitely going to pull up some cancer results for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's not some Walter White coughing up blood in the bathroom, but just aggressive coughing. I actually called in sick on Monday, which was yesterday. It is Tuesday, right?
So do you still feel awkward talking to your boss, even if you are actually sick? Like, do you still feel uncomfortable asking off?
Well, here's the thing, all right? So I texted my crew lead at like 4:15 in the morning, just being like, dude, I can't make it in. I was basically up coughing until about like 2:30 in the morning, just didn't sleep at all, and I wake up at 4 in the morning for work. So he just told me to email my boss, which I did, but I sent it to the wrong email address, so he didn't even get it. He didn't even know that I wasn't there yesterday until I told him today. So that was a little awkward. Yeah.
But it sounds like you needed the rest. What did he say? Like, how did this all...
Well, I was just like, did you get my email? And he's like, no, what email?
Oh, no.
So,
wait, you did or didn't try to call?
I didn't try to call. It was like 4 in the morning. I'm not going to call him, because he actually picks
That's
up.
tough, because you have to know the night before at a reasonable hour if you're going to go ahead and pull the trigger.
Right.
Or you call brash as the day of, like, good luck scheduling my replacement. I am sick as of this morning, so...
Well, the way that my job kind of works, like, we can work without a guy. It might just take, a few extra minutes. We don't need replacements or anything. But I've maybe called in sick 5, maybe 6 times in my entire life, like, since, like, my first job when I was 16.
Sure.
Because I just don't feel right about it, because I've always worked jobs where if you don't show up, you're fucking everyone,
Right.
And replacements weren't just like that easy to come by, so you just showed up for work. but it's not really that much of an issue with this one. So I felt, okay, like, we're working like 14-hour days, and it was my day to drive down to Colorado Springs, and I knew that I would just fall asleep and kill everyone in the car if I tried to drive there and back on an hour and a half of sleep.
Which would be bad.
Not good. Rarely a good thing to crash your car,
negative.
Killing everyone inside.
Sure.
But I mean, what about you? Like, is it a big deal if you call in sick? Or
I've never felt. Well, so to put in perspective, oh geez. Okay, so I'll tell two quick tales. I was pretty sick, or at least I thought I was, when I was young, and I didn't, wasn't going to an indoor soccer tournament in middle school. I was like missing a game, and my dad was like really like, he didn't come out right and say it. He's like, you feel okay? How bad do you feel? Like, I was like, well, I'm not like the sickest I've ever been, but I don't feel like great. I don't know. He was like trying to call me on my bluff, which also made me kind of be like, I don't even know if I am ever been sick. Like, this is kind of a mind. I was like, am I giving up on my team? Like, but also I feel kind of weak, so then I couldn't really tell. So that kind of put it like a new perspective on like, how sick do you need to be to do this or that? And then I was chopping vegetables with Jesse 2 years ago, and I took you ever hear of a julienne slicer or julienne or whatever, where you can take a cucumber and make a bunch of slices real quick?
Oh, yeah.
She was like, put the safety guard on. I was like, yeah, right, safety guard. Amateur hour.
Oh, God.
Next thing I know, there's like a 1/4-inch chunk of my middle finger just lopped, bleeding all over the salad. And I was going to call into work sick, and, because I couldn't type as quickly, right? I'd have to hunt and peck with one of my hands.
Oh, yeah, no good.
And I called my dad, and he's like, well, I wouldn't call off. I just go in, hunt and peck, whatever. Show up for him, I'm like, yeah, that was my plan anyway. And yeah, of course. Why would I ever call off for that? Anyway, so I don't know. Was kind of raised to not ever call off. But then here's like this shift in perspective. I've met people I've worked with where we have a certain amount of sick days in a year, right?
Right.
And they think you're the fool. You're being a fool if you don't use all 6.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Some jobs they roll over, some jobs they don't. Some jobs you need them to roll over just in case you plan on being with the company when, say, you get pregnant or something and you need to take a bunch off at once or something like that. So I can kind of see both camps, and I wanted your take on this. Are you the person that shows up no matter what to a fault and takes pride in that? Or are you the person that's like, well, actually, I think you're just being foolish if you're not taking these paid days off and dialing it up to mental health, let's say, and taking advantage of the allotted time. And I know there are gray areas like leaving your coworkers out to dry and things like that, but I think I lean a little more towards the camp of just show up, especially if the staffing needs are apparent.
Right.
But I just wanted your take, I guess.
Well, let me see. I very vividly remember working like a part-time job before I moved away to college, and something happened and I had to leave to drive myself to the ER to get 9 stitches. And then I came right back afterwards to finish the job. So I feel like physical ailments like that, not too much of an issue. I think more than anything, it's just total lack of sleep due to sickness would cause me to call off more than just feeling sick. But also, we work 2 very different jobs. I'm outside in uncontrolled environments, usually on a super hot roof where I can't, just run and blow my nose if I have to, or, stop to take a sip of water or like whatever. It's just, if you're up there, you need to be working with everyone else. And, so there's no real like, I don't know. I don't want to come off like, oh, when my job's like a real job, and, I don't buy into that shit. Like, working inside is like so easy or something, but it's a little bit harder to take care of yourself.
That is a funny Office episode, though.
What?
When Michael Scott tries to prove to the warehouse guys, and then he almost ends up committing suicide at the end of the episode. Like, Anyway.
Right. So yeah, the past 2 jobs have been around like pretty dangerous machinery, especially at the wood shop where people literally cut their hands and shit off.
Yeah, you can't do that.
I'm not going to go in like really sick or really sleep deprived with that. Like I called in sick one day at the wood shop when I had like 102 fever. I took one day off, So
well, I think you have a point there, like when it becomes a safety issue, whether for yourself or the people around you getting sick, then you need to, and it's rude not to. But I was also going to bring up, what about the call? Because you can't email unless you're a bad person is what basically,
right.
From what I understand from TV shows and movies and general life experience, you got to call. And if you're faking it, then it has to sound really good, but not too good. And if it's real, it also has to sound pretty convincing. Because for me, I've always shown up to the doctor's office after being sick, and for some reason, I'm just feeling a lot better by the time I arrive.
Right,
you know what I mean?
Right.
And it's always, I don't know if it's some kind of classic paradox in the mental state of the human being experience or whatever, but I always get there and they're like, what's up? I'm like, I was feeling like 3 minutes ago, but, I'm all right. I'll see you later. I'm sorry for wasting your time. This is all just an illusion. We live in the Matrix. Just kidding. I'll stop going off that road. But when I call, I find myself in a similar thing, like, no coughs at all, just like, I'm sick, believe it or not, and I wasn't going to come in, and, I was just coughing I swear to God, I coughed before I dialed. It's a little tough, though. You know what I mean? Because you can't convey, like, hey, I don't want to bleed snot out of my eyeballs on your face, nuggets.
Right.
Sorry for that sentence. I don't know. What do you say? How do you say it? Because I feel weird even when I am sick. I feel like not okay even calling off when it's, like you said, a safety issue.
Right. See, I think I've only physically called once in my life. I remember it. I called from when I was still in college. I think my freshman year of college, I was working at a Starbucks, and I called from school. And I was really sick, but I think I might have hammed it up a little extra. I was like, "Oh, Jonathan, I'm so sick. I can't, but
what was the hamming? The slowing down, or like a little bit of raspy in the voice?
Adding a little bit of nasal to it.
Jonathan. His name is Jonathan.
I'm like so sick. I can't even breathe. But I really genuinely did feel awful.
But you want them to like know just how. I feel like they need to be aware of just how you feel, but you can't get caught hamming,
Right, but what I did was he was like, okay, not a problem, get better. Thank you for letting me know. I called like a few hours ahead of time, which might have been a dick move, but it's awkward, so you put it off, right?
Well, you should call the night before, right?
Well, are you always feeling bad the night before? You think maybe
no,
I can
but
do
I'm not
it.
always feeling bad in the fucking doctor's office either. But there's a certain protocol, like, hey, I can feel my throat getting sore. Tomorrow's going to be a bad day. I know my body. I'm calling off.
Yeah, I understand, but I always feel like I'm jumping the gun. Like, I don't know, man. Maybe it'll feel okay when I wake up, which it almost never does.
Right, which it almost never does. But you got to play a game, and then you got to, because then like on Monday I felt awful, like tingly, weak, snot, not quite everywhere, but too much snot for like an office setting. It's just one of those types of things. I was like, damn, Monday was the day. And then I was but almost it's like, so maybe I'll go in Monday, they'll see I'm sick, and I'll be like, you know what, tomorrow I can't do it tomorrow.
Right,
you saw how much I struggled today. Like you go do the hard sell and then you take a day. Or, I was talking with this one coworker who's a little more of the I have 6, I'm going to use him mindset. Come in when you're sick, show them you're tough, and then they won't feel as weird when it's so obvious that you're just taking a sick day to use on a Friday or a Monday like to force a 3-day weekend type situation.
So, and again, this is just another difference. The people that I've worked with in the past, it's been like, a small handful of people, usually my age, with the same motives, right? So I feel like, with the exception of the boss, I can be upfront and be like, if I just called in sick because I wanted the day off, I could just like tell them and they'd be like, yeah, dude, totally. Like, why wouldn't you? But I've never really had like a set amount of days off to spend in that sense. So I think the ambiguity of that also is a lot of awkwardness, but generally
Right,
I just
like-
try to work through it no matter what.
2 days in a row. That's something I haven't even thought of until just now. Like, because I've never had to come to terms with the thought of getting pregnant, or luckily I haven't been diagnosed with anything terminal yet.
Right.
But 2 days in a row is like, that motherfucker is got to be in some dire straits, because 2 days, 2 whole fucking days, that's a little excessive.
Right.
And I feel like whenever a coworker calls off for any more than anything, you're just like, what a bullshit artist. The fucking balls on this guy or gal. Like the gall. The fucking gall.
Wait, so did you call in sick on Monday? Yesterday?
No.
Okay.
We had that Cleveland, the Facebook shooter story. Was
God, yeah.
the guy who works weekends had to work a 6th day in a row Monday during the day. And the manager hadn't gotten any sleep, and they just needed a relief pitcher. You know what I mean? I went in and kind of kept the ship afloat for them to get sleep, and the new crew to show up in the morning. So I wasn't exactly firing on all cylinders. I will admit that, but
right.
Given what I knew about who was in and who wasn't, and what the circumstances were, I went in. Yeah, I went
Gotcha.
in. And it's tough, man. It's tough. But I hate, because people, when you are such a small department, who's going to cover for you, and they know why. And they, it's almost like they owe you one, or you owe them one or something, or it gets talked about.
Well, hey, yeah. That is definitely a whole different thing, because...
Well, coworkers that are like, oh, who's covering for my vacation here? It's like, it's not your problem. And quit asking about it, But there's types of coworkers, and there's this one I'm thinking of that like always brings it up, like, oh, well, I guess who would end up covering for me then? It's like, somebody. It's not your problem, man. It's just like, it's like they keep score or something. Like, you think you'll get sick or anything? Because I think I might want to take off. It's like, I just feel like that's a strange thing to ask. Like, I wasn't planning on it, but.
Well, yeah, and that's different, because I don't have to have people cover for me. But I do remember, from the coffee shop days, like calling people like, hey, can you cover for me? Because this and that. And it's so awkward. And it's way more incentive to not call off.
True. But I feel like there are certain situations where how can I say this? Wheeling and dealing in that way seems very, not easier, but depending on the office setting, right? Like, if it was more of a lax office, like, I don't care, as long as somebody's there and they get the job done, that's fine. But I feel like the older you get and the more set people are in their ways, and they have families and dinner and baseball games for their kids, and none of those are negative things. I'm just saying this is part of people's schedules now. I feel like certain offices have different takes on, like, I don't care who shows up, as long as they do, you guys can fill in for each other no matter what. Have any of your jobs been more lax in that sense? But you're saying it's harder anyway.
Yeah, in the past jobs, it was more awkward, but the employer was like, as long as someone's working, I don't really care. But in the coffee shops, you had to be like certified for certain things. So then you had to find people who had your same amount of like certifications.
You were a master barista, right?
Well, I had my own certifications that were above and beyond what the coffee shop required. So most people were on like the same level, according to the shop itself. But when you had like a whole influx of new people, it was really hard getting someone to cover your shift because they weren't like, bar trained or anything. But I don't think I ever called in sick. on one of those jobs. Like I might have left early a couple times because I wasn't feeling well, but I don't think I ever called in sick in like the 4 years that I worked there. I could be wrong. Actually, I do know what was supposed to be my first day. It was like a 2-hour training day. I pulled a muscle real bad that like hurt when I breathed. So I actually did call in sick my very first day at that job, but it was like a, 2-hour, let's just see if he can show up on time kind of deal. But yeah. Am I answering your question? I feel like I'm just talking in circles.
I just like the sound of your voice. Big fan.
Oh, thanks, man. I just spent a whole bunch of money on new plugins, so hopefully it'll sound better.
Yeah, I have to get those pads for the closet to make the sound on this end a little more pure for the listeners out there.
Well, I'll tell you what, man. Of the 4 hosts on this network, I think you're about the second best
compared to you.
Well, I mean, I have like thousands of dollars of sound conditioning stuff in my room. But...
Well, you sent me this Yeti mic, which is apparently Jesus, and I have some pantyhose draped over a hanger, draped and balanced in front of it. And other than that, I am in my closet in my apartment with a bunch of shirts here to soak up the noise.
Hey, man, it works. It's doing pretty okay.
I'll take it. Yeah, maybe I'll hang some more stuff and get some soft, cushy, whatever. And
yeah, man.
Yeah. So I'm going to do something brash here.
Ooh.
Yes. And, any final thoughts on the sickness at work? Is there anything that...
Well, I just discovered how much fun dealing with health insurance is.
Ooh.
You want to talk about that? Or are you trying to change the subject completely? Or just like...
I was, but let's just ride this out real quick.
Oh, okay. Still coughing.
Right. Yeah, I actually went to the dentist the other day, and they were like, you don't have dental insurance. I'm like, I do, but I'll leave. And
oh, my God, dude.
I emailed my HR rep, and they were like, yeah, it's a different thing, whatever. And I've even been paying, for eye, dental, and health. What else? I know I checked the box. And she's like, well, they have to check this. It changed. And I'm like, I sent it in an email a few weeks ago. I'm like, I know you're right, but I didn't fucking read it. You know what I mean? Like,
oh, God.
So here I am looking like a goddamn idiot in the dentist's office. Like, actually, I'm not going to spend $80 for an insurance, not a non-covered clean, because I could eat rather. I'll see you once I get this shit sorted. But it's kind of a shock how expensive things are. $80 for that teeth cleaning.
Did you pay for it?
No, I left. I can't afford that right now.
Okay, gotcha.
I mean, that's the reality of it. Like, no. This particular cleaning will have to wait. Anyway, I'll get it sorted. It's going to be fucking fine. It was just, and it wasn't even humiliating. It was like, actually, it was a surprisingly easy decision. Like, she's like, well, we're running a special. I'm like, no thanks, bye. Fuck this shit. But, oh, I was going to go on a thing on dentistry, but you were probably going to say something more fulfilling about insurance there for a second.
Well, all right. So by the time this episode airs on Friday, I will be just hours away from my 26th birthday.
Ooh, I didn't plan anything special for your birthday.
Oh, it's okay. Maybe the robot can sing me happy birthday at the end.
Happy birthday. That's all.
Thanks, Robotron 420.
Whoa, blaze up, bro. I didn't know you fucking blaze with the champs.
I don't, but I feel like I have to. It's not easy being green, son. All right, so I would have had dope health insurance up until this Friday because my mom worked for the Erie County government, making not very much money, but she had some pretty amazing benefits. She retired early, a couple years early, so I was uninsured for a couple months, but then I got insurance through my current job. And
nice.
I'll give you a rundown of my insurance situation before. If I was sick, I paid $20 to go to the ER, and I paid $15 to go to the hospital. Prescriptions were like $3. And
this sounds incredible.
And I had free mental health care.
That sounds like too good to be true almost.
Right? So
this is at the wood shop?
No, this is my mom's insurance that I was dependent on.
Right. Because you were under 26.
So I was supposed to get that till I was 26. Thanks, Obama. I say that so
but not
sincerely.
Ironically, sincerely.
So sincerely, because when I had an appendectomy last year that would have cost $38,000, it cost me $75. So thank you, Obama. I miss you so much.
I think regardless of your political affiliation, he's just one bad cool MFer.
Right.
I don't even want to say the words out loud because he's, a former president of Estados Unidos. But yeah, what a guy, what a fella, that Barry O.
So anyways, I have my own health insurance now through my current employer, and I paid a little extra to have the middle of the road insurance. There's like really cheap insurance that was like $13 a month, which is still like super low.
Yeah, all things considered, not that much.
Right. So I vouched for I think I have like some dental insurance. I'm paying like $60-some a month for middle of the road, and then like the highest tier insurance that we had was like $100-some a month, or like the company paid for I think like over 80%. So I was like, this is awesome. I pay $60 a month, and if I get sick, I go to the hospital, right? Well, I woke up on Monday at like 2 PM. I slept quite a bit. And I called my insurance company. I was like, hey, I've never had my own insurance before. I'm just wondering how this works. If I want to go to the doctors, how much do I have to pay? And they were like, all of it. So what do you mean all of it? They're like, well, your deductible is $2,275. So until you pay that much money, you pay for everything. And I was like, the fuck? Like...
Yeah, that commercial where the rocks are falling through the net or whatever about deductibles that you saw about insurance on TV 3 years ago, that made it seem cute and cartoonish. But then they're like, yes, it has to be an exorbitant amount or else you have, you know what I mean? Like so I should have gotten more taken care of, to be quite honest.
I guess that according to my coworkers, I clicked a box I shouldn't have. I clicked like the health savings account, which is...
Ooh, I don't even know what that means, but when I was clicking boxes, they were like, well, there's a flex option. I'm like, I didn't even take this much care in choosing my food plans in college. You know what I mean? Like, flex options always confuse the shit out of me.
I think I spent less time deciding what college I was going to go to than I did. Because, it was my first day of work. No one there would no one from HR was there. They're like, all right, pick your health insurance. I'm like, I don't know what any of this shit means, you know?
Dental, yes. Oral, eye, yes.
This is some millennial Crimea River
Sure.
Basically, like if I went to the doctor, it would have cost like $150 just for them to look at me.
Mm-hmm.
When you pay that $150, it goes towards the deductible, and then once you pay over $2,275 in 1 year, then they'll start covering. I think it was like 80% of your costs. But like, I mean, if you have like a huge surgery, sure, then you only owe like $2,000. But to me, that still seems like a lot. Yeah. But if you just want to go to the doctor, then you're just gonna pay for it. So then I couldn't afford to go to the doctor, which is why I took the day off to go to the fucking doctors.
Missing on the day of work. Cough out them demons.
Oh my god, dude, I can't stop coughing. So I don't know. I was super bummed out, and I feel like, I've known my whole life that insurance is basically a fucking scam. We're the only developed country in the world that thinks being healthy is a privilege and not a right. We don't need to get too political with it, but I was really bummed out to find out that I'm paying money every month just to be available to pay them more in order to pay them even more. Like, I don't know, man. It was a bummer, and I'm still unhealthy because of it.
Yeah.
But my girlfriend, she's an herbalist, and she's been giving me a bunch of stuff that really helps. So I think I might be taking that route a little more than traditional Western medicine, because I can't afford it, dude.
Yeah, dude. Big Pharma, man, fudge. Nah, there's a funny Onion article I retweeted the other day, which mostly, if you follow me on Twitter, I don't know why. I only just occasionally retweet Onion articles.
It's true.
It's true. I'm sorry, everybody. But we're living in the Matrix. Nothing's real. So what can you do? But it was like pharmaceutical, whatever or doctor says, I can stop profiting off of the opioid crisis at any time. Trust me, and he's like scratching his neck and his eyes are all bloodshot. Like he's hooked on the concept of just, death, just like prescribing crazy painkillers and watching people need them more and more and him getting rich off of it. And anyway, if there is an alternative way to be healthy, I guess what I'm trying to say overall is that I'm open to that.
Yeah.
With that said, I don't know. Where does NyQuil fall in all of that?
It's a gray area, right? That's some over-the-counter stuff.
True, but it is still under the Western umbrella.
Right. I mean...
But I definitely have that on
man.
deck. Like, so when I had that sore throat, so Jesse was visiting this past weekend. 3 years, by the way. Good stuff. We celebrated by going to a Cavs playoff game. Went to a bar that was like 32 floors above Lake Erie and looked out over the lake and had a drink. It was nice. Then one of Michael Simon's restaurants in Cleveland, and then we bar hopped. It was a very beautiful night. Definitely just lost my train of thought. What were we talking about?
Well, the last thing that we were really on topic about was the NyQuil and Big Pharma.
Right. The boy. So my throat started hurting Sunday night. She left Monday morning. I had a few available to take, and they do help, I think, or at least that's what I resort to. Like, so my emergency kit, whenever like a sickness starts to creep in, I go to the store and I get some orange juice, some ibuprofen, and some NyQuil. And pretty much no matter what it is, right? Like I'm going to be doing a combination of those three and stay in my bed in between beginning and end of work, or the opposite of that, the inverse of that, I should say. And just kind of rinse and repeat, try to eat a few more fruits and vegetables than usual, I guess. This one had me not really being able to eat too much, which was concerning, but I don't know. What's your kind of emergency starter kit?
Well, before it was just go to the doctor to get whatever.
See, that's not even my first thought anymore, though. I'm like, it's not even necessarily money. It's just, I don't know. Sore throats do scare me the most because it could be strep, and that's the only thing I can think of that you would need a prescription for, Everything else is mostly just rest that you can just shake.
Well, yeah, I used to get strep like 3 times a year as a kid. It was really, really bad.
You're like my brother. My sister we always thought she was like a carrier for it somehow, like the way her gene, I don't know. Scientists, or if the Ad Astra dudes heard this, they'd probably make fun of me. I don't know what the I'm saying, but we always thought, because my sister was in high school, my brother was younger, that she would bring the germs home and my brother would be more susceptible than my sister was to the strep throat germs or something. Because we didn't understand why he got it so much, but he eventually had his tonsils removed. I don't know if that has anything to do with it either. I'm sorry, I'll stop talking.
No, I always had it, and part of the reason why I am so quick to go to the doctor now, like, it was like, 4 winters ago, I was in and out of the ER just constantly for, I thought that it was a sinus infection, and they kept saying, like, no, you're fine, just take an Advil, whatever. And this went back and forth for like 3 months until it developed into an upper respiratory infection, and it was real bad. And so stuff like that makes me like super afraid when I feel it in my chest, which is what I'm feeling now, which kind of has me a little worried. But yeah, before it was just go to the, urgent care or like ER doctor, whatever, see what they tell me to do. But now, Megan will go to the store and she gets like I think it's like a pound of tea for free a month, or like 3 pounds, or like some amount that she'll never be able to consume in a month,
Right.
So if something's wrong, she'll just be like, "Oh, bring all this stuff home." And when I was initially sick, the day that my sister came into town, she made some stuff that like kicked the fever and the sore throat immediately. And
What was that?
The nasal drip was like super bad, and it really calmed down after that.
Let me get on that sore throat, Joni.
I'll put whatever she put in there in the show notes because I don't remember. I think
there
was
an exchange student from Pakistan in high school who played soccer with us, and he just had some pain pills that I forget how they came into his possession. I think he just brought them from home or something, but he said they were over the counter there, and he's like, "Oh, you have a sore throat? Here, take these." And I said, "Okay." And they just knocked it out the next day. It was gone. I should have followed up with him and asked what it was, but
wow,
I forget. I might be blurred on the details here, but he just the picture he painted was that it was not allowed in the U.S. or something. Over the counter anyhow. But to me, I feel like you shouldn't have to go to the doctor if you're sick. You should just buy the tools to make you better and take them.
Right. Yeah, that's really interesting. I know there was like wild tree bark in there, and there was like a little bit of spearmint for flavor, some eucalyptus, but I'll try to figure it out, and I'll write it in the show notes because it worked super well. And there was this stuff called she gave me echinacea. It's not a tincture because it's not made with alcohol. Glycerite. That I've been taking that every day. And there's some other stuff that you like. It's an essential oil that you put on like a piece of toilet paper and then you shove it up your nose. And it's like the ingredient that's supposed to make Vicks VapoRub work. Like that's what it is, but it's just like super concentrated. Makes you cough like crazy when you put it up your nose. But that seemed to help too. I haven't been too consistent with it. But yeah, so now just for the sake of not having the resources, I'm, letting her do her thing, and it seems to work. I mean,
you should write a blog post about that. That time my girlfriend treated me without Western medicine.
Megan's my girlfriend, for any listeners.
Hi, Megan.
She was supposed to do a write for the website of like either an herb of the week and how you can use it, or like, common, if there's like a big cold outbreak around a certain time, she'll be like, you can use this, like stuff like that. And she's
apparently vitamin C is a big myth.
Maybe I never hear anyone in the herbal community talk about it. It seems like they don't really.
Well, when you think of getting sick, you're like, oh, eat your oranges, drink your orange juice.
Yeah, got to get that emergency.
But I heard it was just a marketing ploy, like a few decades ago. Just like
apple a day, right?
Something like that. Anyway, I was gonna say, the big thing I was gonna say a few minutes ago was if you wanted to go to highlight of the week.
Already?
Well, I think we've exhausted this one. Well, I'll go on my dental rant, and then maybe. What do you say?
Okay, yeah, sure.
Okay. The only thing is, like, we're both sick, and I don't want to, we've covered the topic pretty extensively, I feel.
Okay, yeah.
The only thing with the dental is, like, I grew up, I have a natural gap in my teeth, and I would have grown into it probably just fine. My childhood dentist said, hey, you need braces. All the cool kids are doing it, 90s, rad, yeah. I get the braces, I'm like, fine. Apparently my teeth need to be closer together. It's expensive as it hurts, and I can't, whatever. It's the worst. But my teeth are closer together, which probably, I guess, aesthetically is better for kissing people's faces in high school and college, whatever. But it made it impossible to floss. Like before, my teeth were just naturally spaced and food wasn't getting like jammed down in there, right? And like, but now the teeth are like pressed up against each other. So I have to like push floss down, and flossing is just like this huge hassle. So I've been told by the medical professionals to get braces. Medical professionals without any monetary goals, maybe, I don't know. And so now they're like, hey, do you floss? I'm like, yeah, all the time, because this is some bullshit. And apparently now my teeth are too close together, and I'm pushing food into my gums because it takes too much of an effort to get it down in there, right?
Oh, my God.
So I get more cavities than I probably would have, right? And, then they're like, hey, which cavity do you want? Do you want the white ones that look the color of your teeth or the silver ones? I'm like, I guess the color of my teeth, which I learned years later wear out a third of the time faster than the silver ones, right?
Oh, God.
So I'm like, thanks for the fucking heads up there. They're like more expensive. I'm like, for what? They wear out way quicker. This isn't even near the front of my mouth.
Right.
Anyway, then I go in, and the one guy's like, hey, this is a pretty bad cavity. I'm like, really? This feels 0% pain at all. He's like, yeah, it's a three-sided on three sides of the tooth. I'm just going to keep drilling, and this is going to be fine. Don't worry. I'll wrap it up quick. And three sides, like, so the back, top, and front part of the tooth. And he goes over it, and now there's just this pocket in between this one part of my mouth where food sits now. And I went back to him like, hey, there's something wrong here, man. Like, there's something sticking up. Like, there's an imperfect part of what's going on here. And he just created this void that food is able to get stuck in now, that I have to, like, floss after every meal, not just every day. It's not like I flossed 3 times a week before this happened. Now it's like after I eat, well, I guess brisket is the worst, or pulled pork is definitely the worst. Or maybe apple skin or something like that. But no, I'm like, man, y'all motherfuckers need Jesus, first of all, because you have royally fucked me, is my opinion on it. It's just, I tried to floss, I got braces like you said, and all I have now is a mouthful of bullshit, and I feel like I've been fed lies. I don't know. It definitely makes you think, like, has my best interest ever been in mind for anyone who's ever told me anything? That makes you, when the flossing thing came back to bite me, I was like, braces, like, God damn, like it felt like I was being responsible, but really I was getting, it felt quite upsetting.
Oh, man, I've never had a cavity. I usually just brush my teeth before I go to bed. Or no, sorry, I brush my teeth after I wake up, which is like apparently worse.
No, twice a day, right?
I mean, I only brush in the morning though. I don't floss, and never had a cavity, but my gums are pretty receding. But I don't know, my girlfriend's always like pissed because she like brushes like 3 times a day and flosses and like still gets cavities and stuff.
Yeah, that's what pisses me off. I'm like, I'm following the fucking rules, man. Maybe I just don't have the genetic disposition or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, I do need to get better with it, though.
Yeah, but if you've never had cavities, then you're still in, like, you're winning. You're pitching a shutout, dude.
Well, I'll tell you what. If you look at my molars, you can see kind of indentations of, like, what looks like it might become a cavity. I need to get into, like, brushing at night, but I usually, like, go to bed when I'm so tired I can, like, hardly stand anymore.
Right.
So, like, the last thing I want to do is go brush my teeth,
Right.
So, maybe I need to start doing it earlier. I don't know, and brush less aggressively because, like,
yeah, there's
my
so
gums
many
are just
pity-patty
disappearing,
rules
man.
anymore. It's like, I know this paste is good for my teeth, but I just want to apply it correctly. God damn, can someone tell me how to do this?
Right.
I'm a big teeth grinder in my sleep too, I've been told.
Oof.
So, and every time I try to use those mouth guards to keep me from just grinding my own fucking face bones together, it always ends up beneath the bed or out of my mouth or something. So I'm going to wear my own down without external causes before it's all said and done. But that's a problem for a 35-year-old Pat to worry about.
Man, I never had the chance to have perfect teeth. I had braces for like 2.5 years. I think I told the story. I broke my jaw on a trampoline, and like my 4 front and bottom teeth like went in the back of my mouth.
Ugh.
And they were only held, and like all my braces were like through my cheek. It was disgusting, man.
That sounds gnarly.
But my teeth were still intact thanks to my braces. But the thing that sucked was I was supposed to get them off. I still remember I was supposed to get them off 9 days after this happened. And I had to go to an oral surgeon on a Sunday who basically just put Novocaine in my gums and then took his entire fist, 4 fingers in my mouth, and just pulled my teeth back into place, which was excruciatingly painful, like worse than actually breaking my jaw. But then I had to keep my braces on for like another 2 years. And just, once they were off, it was the classic situation. I kept putting my retainer in a roll of toilet paper and leaving it somewhere, and it kept getting thrown away, and that happened like 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, I threw mine out in the trash at school once too.
So now I just have this one tooth that's just like making its way back in my mouth. So like there's one tooth that's all freaking weird, and it's just a bummer. Yeah, I don't know. All that work for nothing, I feel like.
Right?
Yeah.
Tampering with nature.
Hey, man, and also, going back to the beginning, bringing this full circle.
Who knew dentistry discussions would bring out my most, hot takes on nature versus nurture and whatnot? I apologize if I've spoken out of turn, listeners.
So, there was this 10-day stretch that was like some of the worst in my life. I was 10 or 11 or 12. No, I think it might have been 13 or 14. I was bummed out because my girlfriend at the time went on vacation with her family, and it was like one of the few times I didn't go, but I was like in a play at the Erie Playhouse. It was like a summer youth series. They were like short 45-minute, just straight dialogue plays, and I was like the lead in it. So I remember day 1, she leaves out of town. Day 3, I fell on my skateboard, and like all the skin on my shin was just like gone, dude. It was just ground up. It was so bad. That same day, I must have walked through poison ivy because I woke up the day after just absolutely covered head to toe. Like, if you like stretch your fingers out as far as they can go, that's like where mine were stuck because the boils were so big in between my fingers, covering my face, in my armpits,
It's like a scene from a 90s movie or something like...
Yeah, I mean, it was like on my dick.
Whoa,
And,
for real?
It was in
the urethra?
My skateboarding wound. No. It was on...
You should have separated those two phrases or something.
It was on my...
It was on my... It was in my skateboarding wound. I was like,
yeah,
okay, Tom, here we go.
In my skateboarding wound. It was
so it was
bad.
not inside your urethral tract.
It was not, but it was everywhere else, man.
Yeah.
Butt crack. I mean, it was some of the worst pain I've ever experienced. And then 4 days after that, I broke my jaw. So I had this huge wound on my shin.
Is this the braces jaw break?
This is, yeah. And covered in poison ivy. And I broke my jaw. Girlfriend's out of town. Super bummed out. But I still did that play. My jaw wasn't wired shut or anything. It was like a fracture on
So this isn't a Kanye through the wire situation.
No, so it's not wired, but it's broken. Can't chew for like a month. Teeth are in the back of my mouth, covered in poison ivy. I still got on that stage and did my thing. And
did you sing?
No singing, but it was a lot of talking.
What was the part again?
So it's funny because I didn't realize who my part was supposed to be. It was a show about baseball, and the two main characters were me, and you might remember Greg Grunzel from high school. He was a year above us.
Maybe.
Played drums, I don't know. So we were really good friends. We were Cheech and Chong, who were like... And we're like 13 and 14. I had no idea, the history of these characters, but I was either Cheech or Chong. I don't know. We were the comedic relief of this, like, otherwise, like, coming of age, lesson learned type play.
Sure.
But
that
I did it,
sounds delightful.
I did it. Dedication. Show must go on, right?
Indeed it must. Well, you're coughing a bit, so I think in the spirit of the show going on, also super mad props for playing Chong while being practically dead. Shall we do our highlights of the week?
Yeah, you go first.
Okay, mine have been pretty similar lately, but Jessie's in Cincy now. She drove up to Cleveland last weekend. I already described the evening, so I'll spare you the details, but it was just very nice. She came in. We had a good time, and we've been together for 3 years as of Sunday, and the Cavs won the game we went to, and
wow,
it was lovely. Yeah, especially the views above the Lake Erie and the city from that bar 32. It's in the new Hilton Hotel in Cleveland. Kind of one of those things where you'd order a whiskey and they serve it with like a round spherical ice cube, like in Mad Men or something, you know?
Okay, right.
Which was pretty baller, I thought. Or, I don't know. It was just legit to me. And it was a good weekend.
Gotcha.
And yeah, now we're so much closer. It's just nice.
Very cool. Yeah, man, that's awesome, and congrats on the anniversary too. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, 3. My dad joked. He was like, "Yeah, 2 more. You guys will start taking it kind of seriously, I guess, huh?" You know, it's like, Dad, that was actually a good joke, and usually they're lame, but all right. Point taken.
Yeah, we're coming up on 4, I think, and
Ooh wee.
Yeah.
Ooh wee.
Yeah. God, that sounded like I'm not stoked about it.
I know. Well, there was one episode here where I was like, yeah, everything is good and I'm happy. It was like you caught me on a bad week, and I went back and listened to it. I was like, dear
This
Aaron.
is like the 4th or 5th time you've referenced that. I feel like you feel really bad about it.
I feel so bad about that because you caught me on like a week where I was feeling particularly down about most stuff. Yeah, I'll stop then. I'll stop if people have already heard this rant. I'm just sorry about most things to everyone, and I'll try to do better.
So I feel like I had a highlight of the week going into this. And I don't remember. This whole week has been kind of a blur of just like working and feeling sick.
It's okay that it got blurred by a sickness. I mean, you just saw your sister. That was enough highlight of the week for a whole month.
Yeah. And I really haven't seen Megan too much because we've both been super busy. I don't know. All that's coming to mind right now is Sunday. Megan was at work. She got out a little early. And I met her and one of her coworkers at this place for coffee, and we brought the dog, and he was just so chill. And we're sitting there, and other dogs are walking by, and he didn't seem to really give a shit, which is not super common of him. Like if he sees a dog, he wants to go say what's up. But people were coming up to pet him, and he was just being chill. And then I don't think this is the same day, but it was the same neighborhood. We went around. We're not in a financial position to buy a house right now, but we went around and found a neighborhood that we really loved and saw a bunch of houses for sale out of our price range. But it was just fun, man. We walked around with the dog, and I bought another deck of tarot cards because I'm kind of, I don't know, man. I've never really been too much into them, but I feel like if it's a really beautiful deck, you can get 100 small pieces of art for not that much money. So I kind of feel like I'm life hacking right now.
I like that.
But
I mean, some of those are pretty intricate.
Yeah, dude, the one that I'll have to show you, the one that I bought, all the minor arcana, I think they're called. If you put them side by side, they make one huge panoramic scene. It's pretty awesome. Yeah, I mean, just chilling and seeing more of Denver, man. I feel like every time I go out, I see more, and there's really a lot to love here, and it's cool seeing more. Feeling more like I'm a part of it, like it's real.
It takes time, man, and it sounds like you're on the direct path. You got to give the new town several months, then you got to give it a little more time and a little more time after that. So,
right.
You've had some good times, and it'll just get exponentially better on some gravity-type vibes in the future, the near future. So
it's still really hard to remember I'm in a different time zone than everyone I know.
Yeah, after the first year goes by, you start feeling like you're in your new home, and that'll come easier for you.
Right. So I've been having really bad issues with my income taxes. I still haven't filed them, and I won't be able to won't be able to until it's already past the date. But they owe me money, like $1,500. So I think there's no real penalty unless you owe them and don't pay them on time or something. But I called my girlfriend's stepdad who did my taxes last year, forgetting that it was like 11 or it was 10 o'clock there. And like they usually go to bed pretty early, and we talked for like 20 minutes. And as soon as I hung up, I was like, shit, it's like 10:30 there. Like it just didn't even cross my mind, you know? So
it made me understand time zones so much better, though. Just to have to realize I wasn't West or East Coast. It made me like 7:30, 8:30 Central or whatever, you know, like the stuff you hear on TV growing up. You're like, what does that mean? Who gives a shit? F- Chicago. You're like, oh, okay, people have different lives and the world doesn't revolve around me and there are different ways to experience this whole god thing.
Although America does kind of revolve around Eastern Standard Time.
For sure. Yeah. I'll give you that.
So music.
John.
I'll go first. Because you asked me to listen to last year's Simple Plan record after your glorious review of the Simple Plan show. Did you get the interview with them, by the way?
I spent 4 days tweeting at Pierre and the band, and they finally responded and gave me like the email address of their direct publicist, which is probably public somewhere, you know?
Sure.
But it was kind of cool that, you know, they responded. So I sent an email to their direct publicist.
Well, you tweeted and said you weren't going to eat until you got the interview.
Right. I put my life on the line, and they responded pretty quickly once I said But yeah, so I emailed their publicist and their management company, just like, you know, telling them my intentions, like some questions I wanted to ask. Let them know I was at the show. I'm just super stoked about it and just wanted to write a piece about them, and, you know, was going to see if they wanted to be involved. So hopefully next week, my highlight of the week will be that I got the interview. I don't know.
But yeah, it was just like, you know, some things, there's a lot of layers to it, like a Louis C.K. stand-up set or, you know, a Martin Scorsese movie or something like that. This had one layer to it, and it was well recorded, and it was not anything. It wasn't like an alarm in my ear. It wasn't a negative collection of noises. It was just very thin.
It's very vanilla.
It was just very thin, and that's all. You know, there's nothing overtly negative about it. I just wouldn't want to spend that much time on it, you know, because there's so much more out there to experience. That's all.
So I'm a huge sucker for like...
But I could tell it was Tom Kelly pop punk wheelhouse for sure. Like that much I was aware of.
And, you know, I can identify it as a really fun summertime jam that won't live that long in my heart.
Well, when you told me about the Wonder Years at the time, it was like, oh, is there a rebirth of punk pop going on? If so, and if this is what it's all about, then I can kind of get on board. Because it was kind of it wasn't new because pop punk wasn't new at the time, but it was also kind of fresh in a way because it was a rebirth. Stop me if I'm getting anything wrong. But yeah, the Wonder Years had something to say, and they said it, and I was a big fan of their resurgence or whatever the But yeah, this was a swing and a miss, I thought, for Simple Plan.
The Wonder Years, they have a lot of complexity to it, a lot of nuance, and they have an awful lot to say. Whereas Simple Plan's writing a top 40 song. Top 40 songs don't say anything because they want to appeal to the largest audience they can.
It's true. It's the classic, how shitty of music do you have to listen to be cool type vibe, you know?
Right.
You know, it's a fine line between I don't want to be that guy, but I don't want to be this guy either. But also I just want to be cool. Who doesn't just want to be cool? And I don't think I'm trying to be cool by saying this particular Simple Plan record didn't quite hit. That's just my take.
So, yeah. So for me, I mean, there's songs bands I listen to when I really want to get into some stuff. But I feel like Simple Plan or even like Kesha, like I really love listening to, or Alicia Cara.
Was it Animal or whatever? But Kesha, for what it is, it's good pop. It's good dance pop.
Right. So I think of it as like my guilty pleasure, like reality TV. You're not getting anything out of it. You're not really learning anything out of it, but you're being entertained by something just kind of mindless.
Hey, everyone wants to get comforted every once in a while, you know?
So that's kind of what it is for me. The lyrics aren't great. But dude, the production is amazing.
Well, the thing is, I told you that fucking Diarrhea Planet record when we started this podcast. You hated it because it didn't sound great recording-wise, but if it had the production quality of this Simple Plan record, I feel like you'd love it. I feel like you'd love it.
Would. But dude, you know what?
But the thing is, that's your job, so you like know what goes into it. So it upsets you more, I feel.
It's so easy to make things sound good, and then when people elect not to.
Yeah. What about you?
So, I actually took notes.
For the first time in a month.
Can you guess? I know, I've been really bad at it, dude.
I'm guessing you liked Plea for better.
I did.
That's because it's one of the greatest songs ever fucking written.
It was a really good song.
It's a song written from the perspective of a cat.
Right.
And it's fucking good. Like, I don't know how they made it good, but it was fucking good.
You're going to love the song I'm going to give you this week then.
Okay.
So, the notes that I wrote down were awesome rock and roll, spaced out vocal patterns, just to remind me what the hell I liked about it. I love the verses, like how it reminded me of one of my favorite bands, the Hotelier, which is who I'm going to give you this week.
Okay.
But it was a really nice dynamic vocal performance, and
it's unique. It's almost Head Automatica unique. It's
right.
Canadian for what it's worth, but yeah, people seem to like I don't know what it is, but you know, it was new enough or fresh enough, I guess.
Right. And when did this come out? This was like early 2000s or something?
It was, yeah, it's nothing new. Like they're older guys now. I first became aware of them because the first song that plays when Wedding Crashers, the movie, goes to credits is a song called Aside by them, which is also very good. Okay. So then I listened to them a little bit more and more once I figured out what that song was, because I fucking love that movie. I can't help it. Owen Wilson and Vince Vaughn. I know that's bro-y of me, but whatever. You, I like it. So I looked into it more and more, and then once I realized the lead singer of The Hold Steady and the lead singer of Titus Andronicus considered themselves to be good lyricists, but they respected the weaker thans lyrically, I was like, oh, cool. For once in my life, I was onto something. Like, I liked them, and I thought they were saying some good shit. But yeah, that Plea from a Cat Named Virtue is just one of the better tunes, of the genre, probably.
Super good, and I love the guitar tone. I need to comment on the production. It wasn't overproduced, but the guitar tone was so thick, and it just got me stoked. Like, it was just really good, rock and roll. I don't know. Sun in an Empty Room? Mm-hmm. So that reminded... Have you ever heard of the band Limbeck?
Yeah, In Ohio on Some Steps. I love that song.
Well,
you told me about them.
Yeah, Hannah told me about them, and her shitty roommate Megan
Hannah
told
me
her
about half
them.
the shit that isn't Blink-182 that I It's not even a romantic thing. It's just she was like cooler than everyone.
Right. She was like, I remember she was like, yeah, I listened to this podcast. I was like, what the fuck's a podcast? Like, this is back in like 2008.
Some people just take the time to be cool as fuck,
She was definitely pretty cool. She was super cool.
Shout out to Hannah Beckman.
Still feel bad for how things went down. You came up in my recommended friends the other day. I didn't go for it, but it was weird. It was weird seeing her. But
sure.
Cool girl.
Yeah, indeed.
I'm sorry for everything.
So they reminded
they reminded me of Limbeck a little bit, just kind of like that kind of folky rock, but not the like Mumford and Sons bullshit.
Right.
Just
pre-folk burst.
Right.
People trying to tell a good story.
So, not my recommendation, but you should download. Limbeck only has like 2, maybe I think 3 albums, and they are very good, man.
Yeah, In Ohio on Some Steps is one of my favorite songs.
It's so good. So I liked both of your recommendations for sure.
Well, good. This week, Kendrick came out with a new album. Twitter went nuts for it. It's called Damn. I didn't get into To Pimp a Butterfly as much as everyone else did for whatever reason, but I think it needed... Sometimes I need to get into an artist's other albums to understand what's good about them before I can appreciate more of their work.
Sure.
So I didn't get into To Pimp a Butterfly, but this one, tracks 2 through 6, have been on repeat on my Spotify for a little while now, or at least a week. So I'll go back to To Pimp a Butterfly, but I'm going to say DNA on Damn by Kendrick, and just 2 through 6, man. Just listen to the first half of the album and tell me what you think. I'm just curious.
I listened to one song, and like 30 seconds in, it was unbearable to me.
Okay.
I don't know what song it was.
Well, it's interesting. You know, people, I just have seen people talk a lot about it, and, you know, I didn't get To Pimp a Butterfly. I really didn't. You know, maybe it's just because I don't consider myself a rap anything. I just like a little bit of rap here and there. But there's something about the way those tracks 2 and 4 come in with like the record scratch. Like I got royalty, you know, like I don't give up. It's just, there's so little thought from what I can tell put into the instrumentals, and it's just poetry, right? It's just, he's just putting together a structure for his poetry to be read out loud, you know?
Right.
Because there's very little, like in a Jay-Z track, you might hear a little more like horns or more intricate percussion or something like that, but it seems pretty simple to me, and I don't know what the I'm talking about, so correct me on Twitter if I'm wrong, but it is just him saying some shit, and it's not a hard message to at least hear and, you know, acknowledge or whatever, so... Anyway, I thought it was worth a spin. I'll go back to Pimp a Butterfly later, but
I'll definitely give it. I'll give it a few spins, as you say, because.
But the thing is, I wouldn't go back and listen to Simple Plan, and not everybody's the same, so you don't have to go back and like force yourself into this. You know what I mean? Like,
well, you know, a lot of people whose music choices I really respect are like losing their shit over this album, and I just feel like there's got to be something to it.
Yeah, well, again, musically, it's not like pleasing. Like, it's not like, oh shit, I love this jam. It's like, I got royalty and loyalty inside my DNA. You know, it's like, it's more of a really, it's almost like the Midnight Ride of Paul Revere or something. You know, it's just like really good words put together. I almost don't even think they're good songs. It's just good. It's just a good thing to hear or something. I don't really know how to
Maybe I was
explain.
listening for the wrong thing. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, you probably listen for recording technique and things like that. But yeah, maybe just listen. I don't know. And again, I'm just a white asshole, I guess. So who cares? Again, this is where we live in the Matrix. Nothing's real. So anyway, we have our recommendations for the week. Or wait, no, I need one from you.
No, I haven't even given one. Dude.
Oh, okay. Well, I always call Jesse after these, so I always probably try to rush you more than I should.
Okay. Well, I want to do a whole episode on just the way we listen to music, because I'm sure that we listen very differently.
Yeah, we'll do it next week.
Let's do it. So my recommendation, and honestly, I chose this one just based on the sound of Plea from a Cat Named Virtue. It's called Housebroken by a band called The Hotelier. They used to be spelled like The Hotelier. They changed it to like the French, like Hotelier, but it's still pronounced Hotelier. It's a song called... Yeah. So it's a song called Housebroken, and it's sung from the perspective of a dog. So it's perfect. And it's one of my favorite songs of theirs. It's from their second album, which is, to me, their second best. I think each album has been different in a way that I didn't want it to go. But their entire discography is damn near flawless. Even with, Their first one being my favorite. But that song, it's like a 6-minute jam or something like that, but it's a slowly building song that just when the end hits, there's been so much tension and you're so ready for it that it's just like everything fucking explodes out at once. And it just, if really, I will listen to Kendrick Lamar 100 times if you will listen to this song like 5 times for me and really, really listen and pay attention.
Okay.
It's an amazing song, man.
Okay. Well, I might give you a few other Kendrick songs just to get as a starter plate. I'll listen to these 5, and then I'll tell you what 100 listens should be scattered across Kendrick songs. But sounds good, man. I'm into it.
Really lots of, symbolism throughout the song. Social construct and whatnot. Sung as a dog. It's all barks and woofs. There's actually no words.
Well, all right.
That'll be interesting. So, Patrick, that concludes
Thomas.
our episode of Reminiscent episode.
You are
23.
now leaving the podcast. I hope you are okay. Did that robot intro really freak you out? Maybe we can talk about it next time. I didn't really have a plan for it. It just kind of, I could tell by the way you chimed in that it wasn't, I should have said more to explain where I was coming from. Anyway.
Well, I'm not good at, I don't know, coming up with things off the cuff.
Yeah. You were supposed to be like my fake robot wife who was like, no, don't tell him or something. I don't know. Anyway, we will perfect it later.
We'll get it. If you want to tell us that you loved the intro, if you want to tell us that you hated the intro, you can tweet at us. Where, Pat?
At reminiscentfm.com.
No, at _reminiscentfm.
Ah, yes.
And this show is brought to you by the network Elemental FM, on Twitter as Elemental_FM. We have a new show about space policy and technology called Ad Astra. That is also on Twitter at @Astra_podcast. Every version of Ad Astra was taken, so we had to. Oh, that was frustrating. But if you like this show, you can review it on iTunes or you can recommend it on Overcast. Show notes for this show will be at www.elemental.fm/reminiscent/23. You can find past show notes and all the links to download in there as well. And yeah, I don't know. We're going to keep doing these until people tell us to stop. And even then, we might even do 2 a week just to say, f*** them.
Well, not even f*** them. Just like, it's nice to hear from you, man.
But yeah, we'll be back next week, same time, Friday. I think I published these like 4 a.m. I was doing noon, but then I just realized that was kind of dumb because people are already at work. So
also, anyone with robots that spam this type of stuff, feel free to spam download us, by the hundreds or thousands. It's up to you.
That would be great. If we get 10,000 downloads, we'll dupe some sponsors into giving us money under false pretenses.
All right. Well, I love you, man. Have a good week, all right?
Love you too, Pat. Goodbye.
Bye.